Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. And we have the full cast on tonight, so it's just awesome. And Kat just got back from the movies, and Brant just got his stuff set up, and he's healed from his fall. So it's good. He's like, kind of. So, but at least you're on this week, Brant, and there was no like serious issue. So that's actually really good to hear. Yeah. So, but we have a good show. We have not a ton of news. We have a little bit of news. So we'll get into that. And then of course we'll talk about the comics. This week was a slower week in comics. I think I read I don't know, maybe 14 or 15 books. It was a nice little break for me this week, you know?
It was a smaller week. I just realized my iPad's dead, so I'm going to get the charger while you guys talk for a second. So hold on.
Yeah, no worries.
So yeah, let's welcome to some of the people that are on the show right now. So let's see. So we have Get the Key Comic who's on. We have John who's on. David's on. He's excited about that Grant Morrison news that we'll talk about later. Skirb is on. Jolly. And so, yeah, we got Sean again. Tevi is on. Ethan is on. Steven and Lewis. So, guys, yeah, thank you all for joining the show so far today. And like I said, I mean, it will be a fun show. Obviously, we got those top 5 comics to talk about, most anticipated comics to talk about, and this week's news, and of course that Grant Morrison talk. So now that Kat got her iPad charged, we think, or charging,
we'll find out. Charging. Yeah. We'll get a somewhat top 5.
So let's take it away with the news.
So Fantastic Four trailer came out this week. This is the official one, but we already had a trailer. I don't love watching multiple trailers, so I didn't watch this one because I just kind of want to see the movie. But you guys did see this trailer.
Yeah, because I felt like with the regular, just that teaser, I thought it wasn't quite enough. So because I wanted to hear the characters, I wanted to see kind of like what they did, and that's like if I don't see another trailer now, like I'm totally fine with that because I got to see enough in this trailer, and you wound up getting to see a revelation in here that was very, I guess, important to the Fantastic Four lore, which people were speculating on, right? And then you wind up getting to see Silver Surfer, which we all knew what that was going to be about. But it was just kind of good to put everything together a little bit more. And so I'm excited for it. I think it looks like a really solid movie here.
Yeah, I like the little revelation too. I thought that was neat because we haven't seen them go that route yet. So that'll be fun if you know, obviously if it's successful and it continues to go forward and we see where that development goes. But yeah, it gave you a little bit more. It had all the same stuff that we had seen in the teaser and just added on to that a little bit more. But I'm with you. I don't want to see any more after this one. That was enough to get, to wet my whistle basically and get me prepared for it. So, but yeah, it was decent.
All right, let's get to some comic news then. We have Marvel's teasing a new Heir of Apocalypse coming in X-Men issue 19. I think they've been teasing this for like 2 years. So I'm curious what that's going to bring. I haven't been following the Heir of Apocalypse stuff though.
There was only one mini series that it came to,
which was a while ago.
And it was, I think it was last year, maybe?
Yeah,
sure. I think it was last year, and it was, who was it? Doug, right? Doug, wound up becoming like the heir, and it was kind of like, I remember reading the series, and I thought the series was actually pretty decent, but I was just like, I don't honestly agree with the new Apocalypse. It's just something, it's one of those things like you can't change, in my opinion, So that's all I have to really say about that.
I'm just glad they're just not dropping the thread. I hate it when they, introduce something and make a big deal out of it and then just don't do anything with it. So I'm glad they're at least doing that. And it's been a while since we've seen Doug, and I'm just curious what, role he's going to play. But I agree with you. I don't think we need another Apocalypse type character. And I don't think I even finished the Apocalypse series thing.
Really?
I think I dropped it somewhere in the middle.
The last issue was the reveal that it was him, and then
Yeah.
it was like, okay, so now like I think Apocalypse is just on Mars now, just there. And
Yeah.
so and like this guy's supposed to take his place. I just don't get I don't know. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
one of these things where it goes back to my whole X-Men thing. Like there's I like there's variety of books for everybody, but I just don't know if there's a real true direction with X-Men right now. You know,
Right.
so
All right, moving on to we have let's do Godzilla goes to Boston. The only reason I want to talk about this because I feel like Godzilla is versing everything. It's like he's versing the Fantastic Four, he's versing whatever. Now he's versing Boston. I was just like, they're really Godzillaing it up as of recently.
well, based off of the article, it looks like that they're like it's going to be a multiple amount of books where it's
Yeah.
going to other cities on top of it. So wherever this city, wherever the writer lives, I guess they're going to be writing this Godzilla stuff. So that's kind of like what it is.
Which, granted, that is actually an interesting concept because obviously Godzilla, you think, okay, towering over cities and destroying cities. So in context, it's interesting. But because there's been so much Godzilla stuff, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of Godzilla stuff out recently.
Right. That's true. That's
All right.
true.
Yeah. Any other Godzilla thoughts? We'll move on to the next thing.
I mean, I guess we'll talk about Godzilla later. I mean, in the comics, maybe. Yeah.
That is true. There'll be some Godzilla talk of something I didn't read, but I know you guys did read. All right, next up is Ultimate Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. So they are coming to the Ultimate Universe.
So like this is one of those things where it's like, okay, I mean, what character at this point is not coming in the Ultimate Universe, right? And it's just cool to see how their personalities will be in this universe. But I think it's fine. It's cool. They're all a little bit different. And again, we're getting everybody introduced in the Ultimates comic. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. I mean, I like the characters a lot, so I'm always excited. And I'm excited to see like different versions of them and how they're handled in the Ultimate Universe and that kind of thing. So, we'll see how it goes, though.
All right. Next up is Gotham City Sirens is returning, but it's the same kind of format. Oop, I changed all the colors there. It's the same. I was like, what's going on with the Google Sheet? But it's the same format as the previous, which was weekly. I think it's even the same creative team, which gets me a little less excited. I didn't love the weekly format. It wasn't bad, but it also wasn't as exciting as a regular monthly that you're investing more time into. So I feel a little lukewarm on a piece that I wish I should gear up some more excitement.
Yeah, I love these characters, but I didn't love that last story. I thought it was okay, but it wasn't the same, and this feels like more of the same of that kind of thing. So I'm not super excited about it either. I wish we would get a really good Gotham City Sirens series again, but you can't have the past all over again, right?
I don't think you can duplicate that. I think it's just a one and it's a special one, and then you try to do something else, and that's not the same.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then with Gotham City Sirens, it's not like Hulk, who's had multiple good runs. It really was just that one good run. So, like Mike said, it's gonna be hard to replicate that. We do have a question here from Tevia. Have you guys seen Andor? I know you guys are the Star Wars people, so not that I dislike Star Wars, but I don't.
I heard it's
watch
good
the TV
though.
shows.
I heard it's good.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. The last one we watched was the one with the kids that I can't think of the name of, but that one was really good. But I haven't watched Andor yet.
I don't know which one that is.
It's the one with Jude Law. Jude Law was in it, and it was a bunch of kids on this hidden planet that was like a fabled treasure planet. Yeah, Skeleton Crew. That one was really good.
Mine only came out like a year ago, so it doesn't seem like you're that behind on it. And I know that Disney Plus has slowed down with some of their TV related things to their franchises. So, are you excited for the Darth Maul animated series. Didn't know he was getting one.
I did not either.
I
Actually.
wasn't sure.
Yeah. All right, moving on to, let's do the sequel to Beneath the Trees is coming out in July. So we already knew there was going to be a sequel, but finally we have a date, which I think it gave like enough time. Like, Mike, you recommended the comic. I did end up reading the trade, and I thought it was pretty solid. I kind of wish I did read it on a monthly basis, though. I feel like that would have been more exciting because reading all at once, I actually don't think it's a binge book. I feel like they worked a lot on cliffhangers.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see what the sequel is going to bring. And I think it was just the right amount of time because people caught up with the series, got the buzz, and it didn't wait too long. Like I was doing my most anticipated for next month, and I'm like, yeah, Huck is coming out. And I'm like, still scratching my head on that one where it's like, does anyone remember Huck besides us? And will it be new reader friendly? What does that even mean for a book like that?
It's been years, man. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, it was a really good type of cliffhanger book where it just kind of leaves you at the, because it's a mystery and you're trying to figure out what's going on, when in a trade, there's no real cliffhanger. You just kind of, it ends. And then it's like, okay, well, I can just turn the page and there it is right away.
And when you have something like Feral or Stray Dogs, I think I was more expecting something like that. And I was like, oh no, this is a really different comic. And I think my leaning is more towards something like Feral, but it still is. I still want to see where the sequel is brought to. Like I'm curious. It's very Dexter also. So if you like that television show, you might really like it.
Exactly. Just, you never thought it would be this like little innocent little mama bear, that's the one that's causing all these issues,
And Brant, you didn't read that one, right?
I have not yet, but I will eventually, just because how much Mike raved on it, so I got to check it out.
Yeah, maybe for the sequel in July.
Yeah.
So you got a little time.
Yep.
All right, so we're moving on to our topic of the video, which is Grant Morrison reveals his new project is Batman related. So we're all not huge Morrison fans here. So this I wish one of us was, so we could be like, oh my God, this is what I'm really excited for. But all three of us aren't big fans of his writing, especially his DC writing. So I don't know if I'm as excited for this, but I think it's a very interesting era to explore. And I think that's what Batman's really doing now. And I don't know how to feel where it's like, let's actually just be nostalgic instead of telling new stories. Because obviously you have Hush now. But then I just kind of turned to Absolute Batman. But even in that regard, that's a little nostalgic because it's just a different version of Scott Snyder's run. So I kind of want some breath of fresh air for Batman. And I don't know if Grant Morrison's that. Even if it's just a side project, it's still another nostalgia thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird because it's like the last Grant Morrison thing I think I read was, I think it was when he started doing Green Lantern. I think, I'm not 100% sure, at least what I can remember. And I hated it. I couldn't stand it. You know what I'm saying? And no disrespect to him, because I did like when he did Batman, from what I read with it, and Batman and Robin. Like I did
Batman and Robin.
Yeah. Like I really enjoyed that. And I think that's when I was like, got back into comics and that series was going on or whatever, or it took me a while to get into it. But yeah, I mean, listen, there's like certain things I like from him, and then there's certain things I just don't, and when you read a character like Green Lantern and then all of a sudden you stick Grant Morrison on it, you're kind of like, I don't know, man. I don't know if that works, but he did a good Batman. And so I'm curious to see what else he has to tell, because he wrote a bunch of Batman stuff.
Yeah, the Batman and Robin series I actually did like. I liked, that was Damian and Dick, right? Dick was Batman and Damian. I really liked that relationship. And that was like, I was surprised how much I liked it, because I typically don't like Grant Morrison's writing. So I'm kind of in the middle on this. I'm on the fence on whether I'm gonna like this or not. It depends on like what kind of story it is, what time period it's set in, because we don't have many details on this, right?
No.
Just that it's Batman.
Just that he's been working on it.
Listen, he also wrote when
Right.
Damian died, right? Didn't he finish that?
He created
Yeah.
Damian.
Yeah,
You're right.
He created
And I didn't
Damian,
love that.
and
Yeah.
he also died in that series too.
Right. Yeah.
Do you guys feel like DC is kind of relying too much on nostalgia in general? Because I don't actually. I think the only side they are doing that is Batman. I think Marvel's honestly doing a little bit more than DC.
Oh yeah,
I don't.
Marvel's.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think maybe they might go back to writers that used to write the characters, but that's not necessarily going back in time, you know?
No.
Right.
And just because you have Jim Lee drawing Batman, same thing. That's not going back to the past. That's just the way the man draws. So you're just used to that style from when he did Batman, but but Hush,
Hush is a little bit more confusing. Exactly, because of the costumes.
Yeah.
That one's a little bit more up in the air, but let's use Scott Snyder as an example. You read Absolute Batman, there's flavor of it. Like it reminds you a little bit of his run, but it's so different than anything else we've gotten. So it's just like, oh yeah, it's Scott Snyder being Scott Snyder and writing Batman, but it's not like his, Court of Owls. Like it's familiar, but it definitely doesn't feel like it's treading water.
I would say with DC, as far as any pointing to the past, maybe they're bringing back villains, from the past, like they're bringing back the Legion of Doom and different things like that. But they're telling it in a much different way, right? So they're evolved. It's a different story. It's not regurgitating anything. It's not going back to past periods and kind of diving into that. Marvel does that a lot. It works for Marvel. They sell the books. People are buying them.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think Marvel's definitely got them beat in that area.
Here was one. Did you guys like their X-Men work? So Grant Morrison's X-Men.
I don't think I read any of Morrison's X-Men.
No,
I don't think so.
A lot of Morrison stuff was based off of, some of it was based off of the X-Men 97, like some of the stuff that they used in there too.
Sorry. A video just started playing and I could not find it. I had so many tabs open. I was like, all I could hear was music.
We didn't even hear it, so you're good.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. But that's why I was looking so weird and why I stopped talking, because I could just
I think you're like, sorry, I didn't read Grant Morrison. I'm like, it's okay if you didn't read Grant Morrison's X-Men. I'm like, I feel like you probably have.
Did you read Grant Morrison's X-Men or no?
Me?
Yeah.
I did. I hated it. I hated New X-Men. I hated that run. So yeah, I definitely read it though.
We have two questions here. We have you guys seen Sinners? So actually that was what I was just getting back from, and I really liked it. I had a really good time watching it. If you guys haven't seen it yet, cool Western vampire movie. I won't say anything else besides that. And then we have Ethan, who says, what do you guys think about another absolute title could be? What could it be? We're just going through this phase. I don't know. What is missing from there?
Maybe another female character.
Yeah. I would like to see like Black Canary or something like that, because I was going to be like Green Arrow, but it's like, no, you're kind of right. There's just a lot of male-driven absolute titles right now, so it'd be cool to. Well, we have Green Lantern, the twist being Joe being the Green Lantern. I think that's cool.
Yeah, that's true.
We could get Supergirl maybe. But that's, I would like to see them go outside the box like that too. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like,
there's another good going down the line, and you're like, well, it has to be a character that's going to be interesting, right? Like, not a supporting character or a family member character.
Absolute Harley Quinn. Someone mentioned that's a good one.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
So, would it be enough to hold her own book, though? You know what I'm saying? It's because then it's just like, okay, well, if you do have Harley Quinn, then it's just, oh, look, maybe we're bringing back Harley Quinn to the way she once was.
I think if you had absolute Harley Quinn and Poison, someone mentioned Poison Ivy, absolute Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, just make it about them. I think that could do really well.
I think it could be really interesting if Absolute Harley is a really serious character. Just flip it on its head. That could be interesting.
A detective.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It will be hard because you got to pick that character that's going to be a standout. Like right now, they're doing basically all Justice League members.
Yeah.
So and it's like you could see a Green Arrow come out next. you could see. I'm trying to Hawkman, Hawk Girl, Hawk Woman, something like that.
Aquaman.
Yeah, Aquaman. Yeah,
Yeah,
but Aquaman just
Starfire, maybe.
relaunched, so I don't know if
Mm.
they would do an absolute Aquaman.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have a question from Gotham Elite Elementary. Sorry, is that a play on Abbott Elementary or is it just Gotham Elementary? You guys excited or nervous about the new superhero movies coming out soon? I don't know, mixed, because like Thunderbolts, I'm a little bit more nervous about, because we were literally just talking about it walking out of the theater, because I was trying to convince my my other friends that don't watch superhero movies as often to go see Thunderbolts, and they're like, I'm good. And I was like, you know what? It's hard to convince anybody for that. It is like a C-list team where I'm like, it could be very Suicide Squad, but then it also could just be very boring. So I don't know about that. I'm stoked for Superman and Fantastic Four. Like those I'm really excited for. But like something like Thunderbolts, I think is still a little bit towards what we've been getting, which hasn't been as great.
I look at Thunderbolts as the last like
extra movie.
Maybe like I wouldn't want to say crappy movie, but the movies that were planned in the past before they came up with like Fantastic Four and the X-Men are getting ready to come, and Doctor Doom and the Avengers, like these seem to be what Marvel standards are, and Thunderbolts seems like that movie that's kind of like that was the last of, well, let's just push out all these Marvel movies.
Sure.
That's the way I look at it.
I feel you on that for sure. What else is coming out? It's Superman, Fantastic Four. Is there any other ones this year? Let me look it up. 2025. I'm excited for Final Destination, which is not a superhero movie, but I love that franchise.
I do too, actually.
It's one of my favorite like movie franchises ever. So I'm like my business partner's dad really loves the movie too. He's like, we're seeing opening night, right? I'm like, we are seeing it opening night. Let's see. So yeah, Superman, Captain America, which already came out, and then Thunderbolts. And they don't even mention Fantastic Four on here. Blade was supposed to come out, but that's not coming out. Ironheart, the TV show, supposedly, maybe, and Wonder Man.
Yeah.
But those are all the movies, which is so weird because we were getting movies like every 3 months for superhero movies, but since then they really
dialed it back,
slowed it down, which they need to.
If you want to include the Toxic Avenger, I'm not excited for that though.
No.
Me either.
Mike Manhattan mentioned.
There we go. Yeah, let me go back. Here we go.
The Jurassic World Rebirth. I'll see that. That's fine for me. Doesn't have
I'll
to
go
be
see it.
movie.
But I haven't seen
it. It looks like more like a horror movie. That's what
I've only seen the first Jurassic World, and I like that it seems like it's not related to the Jurassic World movies, but I'm also like
something different.
Why are they calling it Jurassic World again? I thought that's strange, but it does look more towards like the original movies.
It's just
I love the Jurassic World movies, or the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies, so I'm excited for it either way, whether it's connected or not. Yeah.
Final Destination 2 was the best. I love all the Final Destinations. I really like Final Destination 3. I think that's funny. You like Final Destination 3 too? So I think that one's fun. People are saying Mission Impossible. I didn't like the last Mission Impossible, so I'm probably not seeing this one.
I'm a big fan of Mission Impossible. I love the whole franchise. I've watched them so many times, so that's what I'm excited for.
You got a lot of movies coming out this year for you. Then.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking through the list now. I'm like, I'm gonna see that. I'm gonna see that. I'm gonna see that.
Karate Kid has a new movie coming out. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. There's a few movies coming out in May. So Final Destination 3 is the weakest. Depends on who you asking. Is it a direct-to-DVD movie? Yes. But is it great? Yes. Is there a roller coaster involved? For sure. I think most people would say Final Destination 5 was the weakest, not 3. If you ask a Final Destination fan,
there's 5 of them. It's just crazy.
This is the 6th one that's coming out.
Yeah, this is the 6th one. There's
a movie where they all die, isn't it?
Yeah, and this one
they all die. Yeah.
Yeah.
They sometimes survive, but this movie is about a family, like a grandma from the past who survived this death, and now like the family is dying. So that's like a different spin on.
What's the one in the beginning when they're in the highway and it's a big wreck in the freaking...
That's 2.
Is that 2?
Yeah, that's 2.
Yeah, I just remember seeing that scene and it's just like so over the top, and then this fucking big log comes through and
every time I'm behind a truck with those like steel poles on it, I get nervous every time I got to get around it because of that movie. I swear,
Me
every
too.
single time.
Don't we all?
The remake of I Know What You Did Last Summer comes out this year as well.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot.
okay.
Sarah
And then-
Michelle Gellar was just announced for something that was interesting, like recently.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
Oh, it's a horror movie. Ready or Not.
Yeah.
She's gonna be in the sequel for that.
Oh, okay.
And then the Final Destination when they're in the tanning beds.
That
Yeah.
I believe is 3. I think that's 3 actually.
3.
Let me see. Final Destination tanning beds. I think that's 3.
It's
It is 3.
It's complete
Yeah.
torture, man. You imagine getting stuck in a tanning bed and then you can't get out.
One of my favorite Final Destination ones is from one of the ones that people don't like as much. I think it's 4, where they it's this gymnast. All the ways that you think she's gonna die, she doesn't die, and then she like slips on a cord or something, and then she ends up dying. And it's one of the most tension-driven Final Destination kills.
I don't even think. I think like I've seen number 1 all the way through for sure. And then I think from there on out, I probably seen 2 all the way through, but just don't remember it because it's been so long. And then all the other ones, I probably seen bits and pieces. And to me, they've always seemed like one movie. You know, it's just like one of those things. It's all a bunch of death. I'll turn it on TV on it's on like TBS or TNT or something like that, or just like one of those stations. And then it's just, you can't help it, but you like, there's a scene happening and you're just watching it.
Oh yeah,
it's so
one of
fun,
those,
right? And you're just like, oh, this is great. And then the commercial comes on, you're like, fuck that. You're like, Jane.
No, I'm always like, I'm continuing.
I hate watching commercials during movies. I can't stand it.
Yeah,
I'll admit to that. I don't love that. Oh, we also have another question from Mike Manhattan. Did you see Mickey 17 Black Bag? I saw Black Bag. I was bored out of my brains. It was very British. Mickey 17 is good though. If you guys like Robert Pattinson, he plays a weird character in it. It's very sci-fi. I enjoyed it. It's pretty solid. Oh, that's all our movie talk, and that's actually all the news. So I'm gonna talk about a Kickstarter I got, and then we will jump into some comics. So the Kickstarter, if you guys like superhero books, we got Like Father Like Daughter. It's a jumping on point mini series where we get to see our main hero's dad has died. He was the only superhero in the world, and now she has to be a hero. She has to take his place, and it's a very fun story, but also a very emotional story about grief and dealing with grief and her kind of taking over this mantle of her dad. We also have some cool covers for this one too. So if you guys are a fan of Spider-Woman, the pregnancy volume, and also Absolute Martian Manhunter that's out, Javier Rodriguez did a cover for it. We got a Superman homage. We got Zongros, which is one of my favorite cover artists. So go check it out. If you like superheroes, it's deconstruction of superheroes. It's a fun one. That's the link for that one. Yeah, I think we're going to jump into some comics now.
Yes, ma'am. That's what we are. We're going to talk about the comic books. And let's see. What are we talking about here? Let's talk about Brant and I. We're going to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We're going to talk about issue 8. So we get the continuation of our Turtles. Not getting along with each other, but in this issue, it really focused on Leonardo, Donatello, and Donatello takes off at the end of this thing and leaves the dead rat behind. But the big thing is Donatello speaking to Splinter spiritually? Like, that's kind of the thing you got to think of, while the other turtles just believe that he's completely dead, you know?
Yeah, up until last issue, it seemed like he was just talking to a dead rat and he just broke. He'd lost his mind. But last issue, he started telling his brothers things that happened when he wasn't there, and like stuff that they hadn't shared with anybody, and like he knew stuff was going on. And then that thing with the rats helping April out too. And it's like, okay, is Splinter actually alive supernaturally somehow? And he's been talking to Donnie this whole time. So that was a twist I wasn't expecting. I thought it was going more just kind of a mental break kind of thing. So, but I think that, to be fair, it's a little of both.
Right.
So, because Donnie's been through a lot. But yeah, it's interesting kind of seeing the brothers break down like they have since this series started, and this second arc kind of really focusing on their dissension as well. So
What I like about it, I mean, we've never really had them not get along.
Yeah.
But what I do like about it is that the way it's drawn, the grittiness of it, just reminds me of the old Mirage days. That's
Yeah.
what I do like about it. And we
Right.
also got introduced to Bebop and Rocksteady in this issue too.
He looked huge. Yeah.
Oh my God, I know. So yeah, I like the way the direction of this comic is going. It's definitely keeping my interest right now. So that's really cool. All right. And then we're going to talk about a book we all read, and that's Superior Avengers. This is issue 1. Listen, I didn't know what to expect out of this book. However, it wasn't a bad book, but it took too long for it to get going. And by the time we got to the end of it, I was kind of like, I don't really care, because it was like, here's your typical action scene where it's like, hey, I'm this guy, and I'm this guy, and I'm this guy, and I'm this guy. But it doesn't do anything to really describe who the characters were in there, And then you find out that, okay, well, now they're on a mission to try to maybe stop Dr. Doom on their own or whatnot. Like, they have their own agenda. And that's kind of how it ended. But just, I don't know, the overall story, I just didn't find that all that interesting for me. And I'm like, you got Abomination in there, and why is he wearing a Dr. Doom suit? Like, you have no idea. He's just wearing this random armor, I don't know.
Well,
I just wasn't feeling it, though.
I mean, they were all different versions of those characters from the timeline, right? Like, they were from the future.
Right. But
Yeah.
it's like, why am I wearing Dr. Doom armor?
I think they explained that.
Did they? I don't know.
Yeah, Dr. Doom's son brought them used the time platform to bring them from the future in timelines where Doom's rule succeeded, to fight for Doom and be his Avengers. That was the whole kind of premise of it. But they all came back, with their secret plan to take Doom out because he destroyed their world, basically. So, I get what you're saying, because it did take a while to get to that point,
right?
And to get that revelation. It wasn't, you got hints of it here and there, but it wasn't really spelled out until towards the end of the issue. And if you weren't enjoying it, I could totally see how you just like kind of gloss over that, because you're like, I don't care anymore. So right. I totally get that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I felt this. I'm in agreement with Mike, because I feel like this was like almost a blueprint to every Marvel issue one we've had recently, where it's like, I agree, it's like this action scene. You kind of have what you're saying, Branson, a little explanation of what's going on to try to get you into these characters, but it felt very two-dimensional. And I'm like, oh yeah, at the end, why do I care? I don't even follow this event, so really, why do I care? But when you compare it to other superior titles like Superior Spider-Man or Superior Foes, I think is an even better example. It just had no life to it. It felt so lifeless, the book.
Yeah, there was no attachment for me for any of those characters that were there. Like, why do I like Abomination in his suit? Why do I like any of the other characters? Why do I like who else was in there? Killmonger was in there. Like, you know what I'm saying? And maybe they'll explore the characters in the future issues as time goes along, but I don't know. It was just, there was something missing there for me. And I'm not saying it was a horrible book. Like, I rated it like a C+, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I think I was like just expecting something a little bit more out of it. And it just wasn't quite enough for me to say, okay, this is standing out for me to continue to read it, because there's so many books to read that why do I need to read it going forward,
Yeah, no, and I completely agree with you. I think of all the tie-ins so far, this was the weakest. And I've enjoyed most of the One World Under Doom stuff.
Right.
And I understood what they were going for, but I agree that the characters were two-dimensional, like you said, Kat. There was not a single character that I was like, okay, they've given me a reason to attach to this character. This is going to be my through point here. It was all just very base level. And like you said, they may, explore that going forward, but was it enough to hook you for that second issue here? I don't
Right.
know that it was.
Right.
So.
Right. We got a comment. It says, Lewis says, what Doom tie-ins are you reading? And so I currently read the main event. I dropped them all except Fantastic Four and Red Hulk. Those are the ones that I'm having the most fun with.
I am reading the Doom Academy one. I really like that one. Because you get the Strange Academy kids in that.
Right.
I'm trying to remember what other ones. I am reading Fantastic Four. What else is tying into it? I don't even remember.
Red
now.
Hulk, like I said.
Yeah, is that Red Hulk or Captain America?
Red Hulk.
Okay, I'm behind on that.
Okay. So yeah, I'm trying to think of what else there was. Doomstrike.
Is that which one is that?
That's
I dropped them
like Bucky Bar. Oh, that's the one with Bucky Barnes and Black Widow's in it.
Okay,
it's a Thunderbolts book.
Gotcha. I'm on the fence with that one. I'll make the decision when the next issue comes out. I'm on the fence with it. I didn't really love that last issue though.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, lost you guys. I'm trying to fool around with my mic, but it's now my AirPods. But if I sound a little off, oh well. But at least I have a mic.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, we can move on. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. All right, so let's talk about Summer of Superman special or Summer of Superman issue 1. I mean, this was a book where I thought it was going to be a preview book, right? And because you see a lot of books like this, but it wasn't. It was a 3-chapter story, and it was all about like the importance of Lana Lang in his life, and you get to see a story from the past, the present, and obviously when you got to the end, the future. And that last page, that reveal, I was like, oh shit, like I totally forgot what happened. That had to do with all the DC All In special, where we get the continuation of what happens to Booster Gold there. But the overall story besides that was just great. It had a lot of heart. It stands for what Clark is, what Superman is, and just that's what you want in your flagship comic books. And that is what lacks in Spider-Man comic books. You feel that emotion in that comic book, and you love that. And I love this book. This was so good.
No, I agree. And it also shows how to do an event. It shows you how to do a character piece. And again, it was unexpected to tell a story about Lana, but it worked. And it was about their friendship. And then you get to see them all like fight as heroes together. You get other people from the Superman family as well. So it was well balanced. But there's a lot of elements to the future as well, where it's like, okay, this is going to continue in this series. And it's just a perfect way to, again, launch a new part of Superman, launch a new event, launch new titles. It's just like there just feels to be such effort in these books and such love into these books that I agree. I wish other superhero books would do as much as Superman's doing right now.
Yeah, so many books like this are just like those, celebratory anthology little stories that celebrates the character or whatever. And this, they used this opportunity to do something different. They had 3 writers on this book, and it
did not feel that way.
It did not feel that way. It was one continuous story that flowed from one to the other. Felt very organic. The events in each story tied into each other, but didn't feel like it was weird. It was like you had multiple things going on in multiple time periods, but it all connected, and it didn't feel like they were throwing like so much at you or like everything was forced together. It was like these 3 sat down and constructed this story together, and it was brilliantly told. Both of you said it had a lot of heart, that the friendship between Lana and Clark, the way it was built from when they were kids to up till her wedding day and all that stuff. And of course, chaos ensues and all that stuff. It was a near perfect issue, I thought. And then tying it into the Booster Gold thing, like you mentioned, which I had forgotten about too, was
Yeah,
brilliant as
see?
well. It's like, okay, now I'm excited for that again. So
Yeah.
yeah, really good issue. Really enjoyed it.
Absolutely, man. It's what Superman is, and just him
Yeah.
walking her down the aisle too was
Mhm.
really cool, man. I really appreciated that. And for a book to do what it's doing right now, for a person that likes Superman but wasn't the biggest Superman fan, it just I'm all about it right now. It's so good.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, it takes us to our number 5. So, Kat, what was your number 5?
Mine is Rogue Sun issue 26. I thought this issue did a good job at blending Rogue Sun and Radiant Black into the same story. I thought they utilized New Orleans better than they have been, and that was a solid crossover.
And what about you, Brent?
I think I'll go with TMNT.
Gotcha.
So we already talked about it.
All right. And mine is I have no idea. Oh, I it was a couple. It was a little struggle, but I'm gonna go with Wolverine issue 400.
Okay.
I felt that for the amount of money you did pay for it, I felt that it gave you a decent story, and it wrapped up pretty nicely in here. And I wasn't the biggest fan of the Wendigo kid and all that other stuff, but that part of the story just kind of won me over, where it was like, oh yeah, it really showcases how Logan is that, father figure, and he was looking after this kid, and the kid has wound up being cured for now. And I like that. I liked how Arcade was in there. So that was really cool. I was okay with the first part of the story. That kind of got wrapped up real quickly. I just felt it was kind of convenient. But it was the second story that really did it for me, because again, it was very much in character for Arcade to do the stuff that he did. And then you got the Daniel Warren Johnson at the end, which was very interesting too. And even though it wasn't a very big story, it was a very cool story. And it makes me feel like, oh man, maybe Daniel Warren Johnson one day can write Wolverine, on a regular basis. That could be really cool. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was one of the better issues that I've read so far. And I'm curious to see now, where does this go from here? Because we got a revelation. He got a letter from somebody that's very important in his life too.
Yeah, that second story is what won this book over for me too. It's like the first part of it was, that story is why I dropped Wolverine a few issues ago, because I was kind of bored of that Antimantine story.
Yeah.
I felt like it was done well here, but it, like you said, wrapping up the Wendigo story and then that reveal that you're talking about on top of the Daniel Warren Johnson story just made this issue for me. And it was like, okay, now maybe I got to pick up Wolverine again, because it kind of won me over. So I agree with you completely on that.
I was this close from dropping it. Just like I felt the same exact way. I'm like, please don't let Solid and Ahmed continue this, kind of like what he did, like what he does with Daredevil. The same story goes on forever. And then I think when I was doing videos, I saw, issue 400, this is the end of this and that. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe now I'll continue it and see where we go from here.
Yeah, that's why I picked it up. Same reason. So,
yep. All right. So now we move on to, let's talk about Ultimate Wolverine issue 4. So
I dropped it with this issue, so I'm curious what you guys thought.
This issue wasn't the greatest, but go ahead, Mike.
No. And it was so it's Wolverine who is, I guess, trying to be captured, and it's almost, some people compared it to Weapon X, but it's like Wolverine being captured, and they're trying to contain him and control him and everything else, right? But you don't see any of it. The narration is all through this gigantic polar bear. Was it a wolf or a Wolverine?
I think it was. I think it was a wolf and a polar bear, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
I could be wrong.
So it was those two things, and they were fighting each other
the entire issue until the very end.
And one represented Wolverine, obviously, and one represented the rest of the people that he was fighting.
It was basically in his head, I think. That was how he
Yeah.
was envisioning himself.
Right. And then all of a sudden, it opens up at the end where he's out of his cage or whatever, claws out, and all the people are dead on the floor. Right. And that's kind of the issue. And then I forgot about this. So in the very last page, here's this whole data dump that explains to you what happens, right? And this is a spoiler because I got to tell Kat this. But you're revealed that Jean Grey is in this book.
They're really just throwing everybody.
Yeah.
But she is captured, and they are using her as like, were they using her as like brain control or brain wipes? Is that what they were doing?
Yeah, they were using her basically to control him. She was the failsafe to control him. So she was attached to all these wires and cables and everything.
Yeah, she's kind of out of it, Kat. She's like barely functioning.
So is this enough for you to want to continue it, or are you guys like on the fence with it?
I'm on the fence with it after this issue, but I've liked the previous issues. So
right. I do too. And I am curious with this whole Jean Grey thing and like, where are they going with all the X-Men? Because it's like, now we have a lot of X-Men in here. You got Eliana, you got Colossus, you have Kitty, you got Gambit, Jean Grey's in this, right? You got Wolverine now in there. So it's kind of like, is this book going to like transfer over to a true Ultimate X-Men book? You know,
probably more than the other one, for sure. I don't even know where the other one's at this point because none of us actually read it. But
right. So interesting.
We got some.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. We got some comments about the email at the end of Ultimate Wolverine, saying that this is Lewis. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name, but and it says it's an Xavier brain controlling Jean's body. I did not read that, so I'm not. I didn't. I missed that, but that's interesting.
That's a lot.
That was at the end. I thought in that green page. I thought that's what that was.
Okay, I didn't actually read that. I just that's what I was saying. I didn't actually read it, so.
Yeah, I think I could have forgotten what happened. There was a lot to read in that whole part too, you know. And honestly, at that point too, I was kind of over the issue. I was just kind of like, okay, I was kind of pissed off that it was like that. Like, how cool would it be to actually see Wolverine freak out and just literally go balls to the wall and kill all those people on every single one of those pages? And that's what you polybag, right? That's what's when you stick in a bag and you say, warning, blood, gore, guts, head decapitations, whatever, limbs flying off. This is the book that is going all out, you know?
I just don't feel like they're willing to go that direction. I don't know why, but they're not willing, even though they had that whole red band thing, which I guess they've dissipated because I don't think they're doing it anymore.
There's no more left,
They've shown us worse in books that don't have the red band on it, though. So it's ridiculous. I would have even been fine if they had interspersed it with like cuts to the animals and to Wolverine, you know, slicing somebody, you know, just not the whole issue just being that was, it just completely took me out of it.
And the dialogue boxes were different colors and they intertwined with each other. And I was just like, how long is this going to go on for? And I'm like, it's going on for the whole issue. You know, so oh well. All right, so now let's move on to the other side on DC with Absolute Flash issue 2. Holy shit, this book was intense. Like, this book was done this way purposely to make you experience what Wally was going through.
Well, yeah, especially the art. Like, if you didn't have the artists that you had here, I don't know if everyone could do something like that. I thought the art really sold the book, and what's happening between Wally and Barry, like the confusion of it all and how fast it is. Like, again, these absolute titles, they they keep hitting it, and they're doing a good job. And again, it's similar to what you know about Wally and what you know about this world, but they're doing something to put it on its head, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is becoming one of my favorite books, but I'm a Flash, fan
Right.
anyway. I really like the character, and especially like Wally. So, but yeah, this just really good. It's better than I, could have expected it to be so far. So hopefully it keeps up the pace. And yeah,
Yeah,
so
I agree. I mean, it was an outstanding book. I mean, it was a quick read. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
again,
it was
it was made to be that way.
right.
And I truly think that putting Jeff Lemire on this book was definitely the right thing because he can get things crazy real quick. So
Mm,
Yeah,
really
outside
good.
the box.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
absolutely.
We do have a question from Bad Bone. Do you guys think they will fumble Transformers after Daniel Warren Johnson leaves?
No, I hope
I think
not. Man.
it's hard to say until you know the writer, though, right? Like it's
Yeah,
there. You just don't know where it's going after.
yeah, it's hard to say, but Kirkman's still at the helm of all of it, right? So
Mhm.
I'm more inclined to trust, where it's gonna head, but we'll see. Time will tell.
I mean, we're gonna have to find out soon because we're getting to the
When's it over again? What's this?
25,
25?
And what's
Yeah.
it at
25,
now?
Like,
20.
is
I
it
think we
20?
just finished with 19 or 20.
Yeah, it's 18,
Something like
19,
Probably
or
that.
20,
find out
somewhere
in
around
like
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 months, probably, because it's
Yeah,
still
I
summer
would say
right now.
about 3 months out.
Probably, you know what? San Diego, no,
San Diego.
San
Yeah.
Diego,
The
honestly, yeah.
the only thing
Yeah.
I can think of is unless it takes a break,
It
Yeah.
and
could.
then
I
that
mean,
might delay it.
I'm guessing that makes them a lot of money. So, like, I don't know. I don't know if they take a break, but it is indie comics.
Right.
You're right. You don't know.
I would hope not. I would die with not having my Transformers now, man. I can't not have that book. Gosh.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to number 4. So, Kat, what was your number 4?
Mine is Cable Love and Chrome issue 4. Very underrated book. It's kind of a romance book as well, but it's Cable dealing with his sickness that he always has, and you actually get to see him time travel, and it has to do with this person that he loves, and she also has the same illness that he has. So I think if you're a Cable fan, you'll really enjoy this. I feel like it's a celebration of him. It feels like old school Cable without retreading water of things we've seen. Having this romance, it makes it feel a little different.
That's cool. I mean, I would never think that you would be reading a Cable book to begin with. And
Cable, for some reason, is just one of those characters that it's the 190s character that I'm like, I got a soft side for
the
it.
funny thing is
Mm.
like I read the first issue
Mm.
of this. I'm like, I don't give a shit about this other chick that's supposed to be like him. I'm like, I
Mhm.
don't care about that.
I'll say if you are not sold on that, you will probably not like this book.
Right. So that's
I
why
would
I didn't like it.
I was sold on that because it does, again, just feel a little different. 'Cause I think Cable, you do get the very like, here's the big guns, and
Yeah.
you get the same story over and over again. So I just like that it felt a little fresh.
It's like he had a love interest. Yeah.
Right.
She probably dies at the end anyway.
She kind of does, but then kind of like it's time travel, so
Of
you don't
course.
know.
I could
Yeah,
go back in time. I can see.
exactly.
You know.
Oh, I didn't say it wasn't predictable, but
Yeah. All right. So what do you got, Brent, for your number 4?
Mine's Wolverines. We already talked about it.
Ah, okay. So we're right there. Mine was Conan the Barbarian. I think this is a pretty good series. Now that you got the decent artist on there, and it was pretty interesting. I mean, you just seen Conan Barbarian actually survive this this ship that he was on, and his girlfriend winds up getting blown up, and all the people that he was with wind up dying as well. And he's being hunted by this big ass panther. And then you find out that the panther that was hunting him was like this shapeshifter, and he had to put her through these trials and tribulations. And there was something that happened at the end of this story that had to do with this weapon that they acquired, and someone stole it from them, and the girl tries to sell it off, and then she winds up getting killed, and this serpent guy winds up getting it back. So it all ties into a last story arc that happened. I won't go too much into it because you guys don't read it, but it's actually a really good comic book. Like, people have been telling me for months to read it, and the way it was written is really good, and the action is really good, and the artwork has improved. So I'm happy with it. So good stuff. All right. So now we go on to, all right, let's talk about Detective Comics issue 1096. This wrapped up the first story arc for Tom Taylor, at least for now anyway, because they leave it with kind of like a cliffhanger. How
And
did
he
you
tends
think
to
that
go
this
back
ended?
to his stories a lot.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like Heartless, right?
Yeah.
They're going to go back to it.
And that's kind of what I felt with this, is that there's parts I really like about it. Like, I like the idea of kind of going back in history and kind of rewriting it, but then I also hate that idea. It's just like, oh well, you have to put everything back in the toy box, so like everything that's going on with Joe Chill's not really going to play a part in the end. So I feel very conflicted with this book, because I like the art, I like the writing, but it does have a lot of Nightwing feelings to it, where I'm like, is anything really going to happen?
Yeah. I think I really like the art in this issue. I think, just in this arc in general, like you said,
You do not like the art, or you do?
I do. No, I do like
Yeah.
the art.
Okay,
I
me
like
too.
the art style. But I get what you're saying, and it's like, I don't know how I feel. Like, I like the reveal of who like the villain was in this was not as predictable as it seemed it was going to be in the beginning. So I appreciate that, at least. But we every like decade we get a Joe Chill story trying to rewrite this dude's history. So I don't know how I feel about that either.
I mean, I liked it. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
It was good.
Right.
I mean, I think it started off a lot stronger than the way it ended. But
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes from here. I'm just happy that like this story arc ended, and now we're going to see where it goes from here. Hopefully it's something maybe completely different for a while,
And it feels better than where Detective has been, and it feels
absolutely.
more reasonable to the Batman stuff too. It feels like, oh no, things are happening. So like, can't complain on that side.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
and like I read all 3 issues back to back because I'd been a little bit behind on it to catch up for tonight. So just kind of going back through that, some of the moments throughout this arc were really nice, like where he sent Damien to the prison, and the whole thing that happened there, and he smiles that Damien did the right thing, and he gets him out immediately because he's not going to let his child. So there was some nice moments between some of the characters in this arc. So regardless of all of that, I think there were. I mean, it's Tom Taylor. Of course, there's going to be moments like that.
Yeah,
so.
that's what he does best, is certain stuff like that, right?
Right.
All right. So let's see. Let's move on to number 3, right? Is that where we're at now?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, number 3. So what was your number 3, Brian?
Mine was Rogue Sun, which I forgot to comment when Kat was talking about it earlier. I really like this issue as well. Obviously, I'm a big Radiant Black fan, so seeing him there, I like the way that they played off each other, but also the way that his sister and him played off each other. I like that dynamic, and him covering for his sister and all that stuff. So this was a really solid issue, and it kind of turned things around. I'm glad they got away from that long arc that they were telling with the supernatural stuff. And obviously there's
that lost me.
Yeah, and this it's more interesting adding her as another Rogue Son with Caleb. He's got motives, so that's going to be an interesting dynamic going forward. So it's kind of breathed new life into the series for me. So
cool deal. All right, and let's see what I get. You got?
So no, you only have Bram for number 3.
You got. Go ahead.
Mine's Absolute Flash, or we already talked about.
Okay,
gotcha. Cool.
All right, and then my number 3 is Redcoat issue 11. So we get introduced to a new It's a new story arc. So first time in a couple issues since we've had one. And we get introduced to the character by the name of the Northerner, and he's from the Civil War. But we don't know too much about this guy. He's like Cable. He's a time traveler, right? And we don't really know what his purpose is yet. We just know that he came for this girl, and then all of a sudden he comes to Simon Pure, and they start fighting, and there's a much bigger mission, up ahead. Really good issue though. I'm just so curious to see what is in store for these guys, and this book doesn't disappoint. It's really good in my opinion.
Nice. I haven't got a chance to read this issue yet.
Yeah, you'll like it.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
Good. All right, so now we'll go on to 2 books that you guys read. So we got Wonder Woman issue 20. So what did you guys think about that one?
It's losing me, man. I want to continue reading it, but now I will say I think I will drop it for this arc. It's like this Greek god detective story with Batman. Is what's his name? He does a lot of Batman art. March, Gillian March. I think.
Gillian March.
Yeah. I don't love his art style, especially for Wonder Woman. I almost understand it for Batman. For Wonder Woman, it's weird. And it's totally taking away from the main story, which they've been prolonging. So, skipping this arc at least. And we'll see where it goes. But it's Tom King doing Tom King.
Yeah, it's losing me too. I was afraid I was the only one feeling that way. But yeah, I really liked that previous arc. That was really strong. At least for a while. It went on a little bit too long for my liking, but when I started reading this, I was like, man, this is different. This is not the same. Not even just the art, it's just the whole vibe of it just changed.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
completely.
I'm definitely
when again the other arc wasn't over, so it's like, well, at least finish what you were doing before you go randomly into this.
Right, exactly. So it's just odd.
You win some, you lose some, but unfortunately with Tom King, you lose a lot. So, all right. So now let's talk about one of Kat's favorite books. This is Exceptional X-Men. This is issue 8.
And every single time I think I'm not going to like it, I still do. Because like this issue in particular is like Kitty's not really in it. We'll see if I like it. But I actually think this book does a better job of balancing the new kids with the older kids, where I think Kitty, Emma, and Iceman have enough. And this issue in particular focused more on Mr. Sinister and when the other character was being captured, and then the 2 kids that kind of work with the kid that's captured, figuring out that something's wrong with him. And there's some good Kitty moments in here too, but it's mostly about the kids, and I think it worked. And I love the series. I think it's a great character building book, even when the newer characters are being focused on.
Kitty just chilling and singing in the shower.
Yeah, that's all she's doing.
Just random. That's all she's doing.
But I really liked the ending though, because that was really interesting with the girlfriend, because she was like, "Oh, well, I guess maybe girlfriend. They're going out."
Yeah.
Because she's like, "Oh, like you keep saying that I'm normal. What does that mean? Like, why do you stop conversations halfway through?" And I'm curious to see where that's gonna go. It's like, where's that relationship gonna go?
That was interesting, especially because she stopped the conversation midway through because she had a crisis to deal with. It's an interesting book for me because I don't love it, I don't hate it, but I like the characters, so it's like, I don't know, it's weird. There are moments in it that I'm like, oh, that's cool, that's fun, and there are other moments in it where I'm like, eh. So it's a weird vibe for me with this book.
It almost suffers like the She-Hulk for me.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Like
it has a very, which is why I like it. It has a very like similar tone to She-Hulk, and again, with X-Men in particular, I think you need different types of books, and I really like that this holds a slice of life, character-driven side. That I think Marvel needs more of those books, but they're not going to be for everyone. She-Hulk was not for everybody, but once we were on that last volume of She-Hulk, we're like, I kind of wish this was continuing. It got really good because it like was building towards something. So
yeah, just wanted to comment on this.
Yeah.
We literally just talked about Redcoat like 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm. And you guys,
and we do
Space
talk
Ghost,
about Space Ghost. Yeah, all the time.
Space,
so.
yeah, I thought, Space Ghost is amazing. It's such a good comic book.
Sorry, I
And,
didn't notice the name. Yeah. Sorry about that. would've popped it
and David Pose does Cable as well, but he's going to be doing Captain Planet, which I think got delayed.
Yeah.
I think it was supposed to come out this week, and I think it's
Oh,
coming out the week
seriously, it
after.
did.
Oh,
Yeah, I
it's
think
delayed.
so.
Darn it.
I
Yeah.
think
I'm-
I didn't see it on my list. I'll double check
Okay.
when I go to the comic book store, but I think it was delayed a week. Because I think I looked on Kindle to see if it was, and I'm
So many
pretty
books
sure it
have
was.
been delayed, man.
But because
Yeah.
because it's Dynamite though, they're still May 7th. This is coming out now.
But even Image
Okay.
comic books some of them got delayed because, like, this past week, G.I. Joe was supposed to come out, and then it wound up
Yeah.
getting delayed a week also. And then there was, I think, another book on top of that too. So, it's so
KG
frustrating.
X1 Rook is coming back. I know you guys like that book too.
I think it was like later. I think it was like, I wanted to say, I thought it was spring, but maybe now it's more like the summer. I don't know. Someone messaged me, tell me that it was coming out later this year. So it's definitely coming back though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know. Just sometime this year is all I know. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was supposed to be spring, but
Spring is a coming.
Yep.
Spring is here.
Spring is here. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go on to our number 2. So Kat, what was your number 2?
Mine was Exceptional X-Men. So we already talked about it.
All right. What about you, Brent?
mine was Absolute Flash. So we already talked about it.
Cool. Mine was also Absolute Flash. So that wraps that up pretty good. And then we'll dive into a book we all read, which now I don't give a shit about because it's ended. That's X Factor issue 9. I really was like that almost at the end of this book. I mean, I was kind of like, oh yeah, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, like, why do I care?
I could say that. The reason I like this issue, and it didn't make my top 5, but I still enjoyed it. A, as the art, but B, as someone who's not reading One World Under Doom, they do a good job of tying into that event without feeling forced or feeling you have to read the event, and I give kudos to that.
Yeah, I mean, and then I did like the character moment with who was a Cypher, the guy that electrocutes himself or whatever it is, and then he can die. You don't know when he's actually going to die, and I like the moment between him and Granny there because they had a moment with each other about what it is to die, and like, aren't you afraid to die? And she just like appreciates life, and like they had that moment. Like, I actually really like that. But then there was like the end of it. Like, I was just like, okay, the guy cracks his head open, like the helmet open, and then there's this gas leaking over, and I was just like, yeah. I'm like, oh, and then there's the other X team doing something else. I don't know. I was just I'm just disappointed because this book is ending, and I actually like this book.
Yeah, that is disappointing.
So
it's got some nice comical moments in it.
Yeah,
like when she's on the plane, she's like, "Oh, am I on the wrong plane here?"
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. So,
and that's what made it good because it's like, it had that humor. It did have the seriousness. It wasn't afraid to push the boundaries. Like, you got random deaths, and then the roster changes would move. You would get different leaders. And that's almost what you could expect in a team, like a superhero team book, like, because shit happens. And so I think that's what I liked about it so much. And, it's one of those books that, since there are so many, people don't give it a chance, So, and I get that. Your money is valuable to you. All right. So with that being said, I have a feeling if I know what everyone's number 1 is.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
Is it Superman?
Yep, at least for me.
It is indeed.
Yep, that's what I thought. So definitely a solid book, and we all agreed on that. So very good. So now with that being said, let's dive into everyone's most anticipated, and I'll hand that over to Brant.
Yeah, so let's take a look at what we got going on here. Just I think we only have one book that's the same between us, so that's kind of
Oh,
interesting
that's
this
different.
week. Yeah. So, and one of mine doesn't even count anymore if it got delayed. So, so I might have. Yeah,
Did
GI
G.I.
Joe
Joe get
was on
delayed
mine.
this week already? Oh, that sucks.
No, it was supposed to be out
It was supposed to come
Last
out
week.
last week.
Okay.
Okay.
last week. Yeah, so
Gotcha,
you might still
gotcha.
get it now.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'll just start with GI Joe since I talked about it already. It's Duke versus Cobra Commander, so that's what we've been building up to since those miniseries. I'm looking forward to that. That's really all the information we got going into this. So yeah, I'm just looking to a knockdown, drag out fight between those two, personally. So
Yeah, I am really excited about that. It's hard to believe though. I feel like GI Joe's been out for so much longer. It's hard to believe that we're
it's
only
only
on
got 6
issue
issues.
6. Yeah,
Probably
that's because there
of
were
the
4
previous.
miniseries before it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's true. That is very true. To get you into the characters, but yeah, I love this series, man. Every issue's like very explosive, lots of action. I love how it is tied into the Energon universe, dude. I think we're gonna get Hound in this book. I think
Oh,
so.
are we?
I think I could be wrong. There's a variant cover with him in it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool. That would be nice. Yeah.
right, he makes his appearance and he helps out GI Joe, and then shoots down Cobra Commander, and Cobra Commander. You think he's dead, but he's not. He lives, and I don't know. I'm making up my own story, but
yeah,
we'll
I know,
see.
right? That's fun times. Yeah, no, I love this book. You know that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Green Lantern, issue number 22. I'm trying to remember what happened last issue.
I know, because also Green Lantern Corps, like, kind of
they're overlapping a little bit. Yeah,
I mean, I think most of it's the Star Lantern stuff.
It's Hector Hammond is back, right?
Yeah,
that's what's going on in
that's
this.
That's how
issue.
it ended. Yeah, he was like killing
Yeah.
one of the super villains, and he's been slowly getting like mental powers back, and then he obviously his brain starts to grow some more every time it happens, and he looked pretty sick by the time he got to the end of the issue there. Very curious how that fight is going to turn out there, and then all the other surrounding stuff with it also, a lot of stuff going on in that book, so that's why it's so hard to remember what's going on. Plus you got Green Lantern Corps, so it is a little bit difficult to follow, but when you read it, you're like, oh, okay, now I remember.
I remember Corps more because it was just so recent. Like, obviously Green Lanterns also came out a month ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just remember that Hector Hammond thing that, sent light bulbs, but yeah. All right, let's talk about Absolute Martian Manhunter. You guys really love this one. I didn't really like it, so why are you excited, or why are you anticipating it?
I liked how tipsy-tobby it was. It was just a weird book. I like that, and I like the art. I like Javier Rodriguez, obviously, because I used him for a variant cover for like Father Like Daughter. But I also like how different it is. Feels really different from the other Absolute titles. Feels different from Martian Manhunter. I like that there's this mystery that he doesn't know he's a Martian. I like the supporting characters they built. I just thought that the first issue had a really good foundation. I'm curious how they'll explore that in issue 2.
Yeah, I am too, and it's curious to see how this story will develop, because and where it goes, say 10 issues from now, because it's such a trippy book. So I'm so curious, like, once he figures out who he is who's going to be his adversary. Like, that's what I'm very curious. Or is it going to be a constant like struggle within himself and being part of society? Or is he going to be just like this FBI type of character that we know? Or is it going to be a family struggle? I don't know, but I did like it because it was something different. It wasn't your traditional Martian Manhunter book. And that, I agree with Kat there. That's what gives it its unique voice, because it's not traditional. Yeah. It's something where it feels indie, something different.
Yeah, I'll definitely give you that for sure. It just wasn't my thing, I think.
But, no, that's understandable.
Which is fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You gotta smoke a bowl before you do it. That's why.
That is true.
No, I did not do that. So I was just saying.
Well, we'll stick with the Absolute books and talk about Absolute Wonder Woman #7. I actually did like last issue, which was
Yeah.
a nice change of pace for me, because the book was losing me up until last issue. So last issue was good though.
I loved Absolute Wonder Woman last issue. I thought it was like it raised it to the next level for me with that
Mhm.
artwork.
Yeah, for sure.
It was good. I could say it was a good book beforehand, but now with this it made it into a great book because it really dove into a little bit more of like the mythology of the character, and now we get someone that's really close to her that's in danger, and you get to see again some more of her weapons, like how they were created, and just
Yeah.
the artwork is beautiful. It takes you on an adventure. You feel like you're part of the book, and that's what I love so much about that last issue.
Yeah. How long are we getting this art? Does anybody know?
I think just this issue.
Just
I was
this
gonna say,
issue?
oh really?
Yeah, I
It's only a
think just the
2-issue
story
arc.
arc. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Is it going back to the previous art after that or somebody else?
Let's
I'm
look.
not sure.
Absolute Wonder Woman League of Comic Geeks. Let's see. Because I'm curious. I mean, we all love this artist. We've seen
Yeah.
this artist a lot. This is, all right, let's see, Wonder Woman #8. I have a feeling it's gonna go back to the other artist. It is Hayden Sherman, which I believe is the other artist.
Okay.
We'll be going
I
back, but it was nice to get a break.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just not my favorite art style, that
Right.
Same.
particular one. So, but is what it is. All right. So moving on, we'll talk about Superman #25, which is on mine and Kat's list. This just new era, new direction for Superman going forward. After that Superman special, I'm really excited for this going forward now. So.
And knowing this book, it'll actually probably do something big that actually probably matters for the book. Because usually
Yeah.
you'll get these legacies and you're like, oh, like kind of roll your eyes. Like nothing's actually going to happen. And it's not going to actually be that big. It'll just be like an anthology book. But with this, Superman's been so good. I have a feeling it's going to be a bigger issue.
I'm sure it will
Yeah, for
continue
sure.
the main story at least.
I'm feeling we're going to learn about that Lois thing, the Zod thing. 'Cause they've
Yeah,
been like
maybe.
putting that in the
Yeah.
background.
Don't forget
Mhm.
we got the Lex Luthor thing too.
That
Right.
too. There's so many little pieces
Yeah.
that they could touch upon to make it
Yeah,
a
I
big
do
story.
remember. Yeah, I do remember reading something about the Lex thing. They're definitely going to address that in this issue.
Lex
So.
that's been a great story as well. So
Yeah. So very interesting. All right, so let's talk Predator versus Spider-Man. I'm not getting this, but I guess you are, Mike. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
I'm
skipping
just
it
not a
listen,
big
too.
Predator fan.
I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
not a huge fan of like these IPs or whatever it is, but
Yeah.
I think when it comes to Spider-Man versus Predator, I think it's going to be something that's pretty cool. And I would love to see if like Kraven the Hunter somewhat shows up in this series.
That could be
That
cool.
would
Yeah.
totally make the book for me because this would be Kraven's like biggest thing to hunt, right? And
Yeah.
what better thing would it be for him to team up with Spider-Man, the character that he hunted all these years ago, and to capture this creature. So I'm very curious to see what Benjamin Percy has in store for this. So
Yeah.
and I like how it's an Elseworld story. Like again, we talk about how Amazing Spider-Man is not doing it right now, and so if there's a decent Spider-Man story besides Amazing Spider-Man, I'll definitely read it all day.
Well, speaking of Amazing Spider-Man, that is on mine actually. #2. I actually really like the first issue quite a bit. So I'm kind of low-key excited for the second issue.
Listen, I would
I
not
hope for the
lie if I
best.
didn't say if I'm not excited for it. I am because I want the story to develop. I want it to grow. I want people to like it again. I think part of the problem with this is since Joe Kelly wrote this 8 deaths, I think what it is like this people have this sour taste in their mouths already going, wow, this is what Joe Kelly can do. Forgetting that it was attached to a Doctor Doom event. And this is something that he shared writing duties with another writer. And this was something that he had to do. And so I feel like now this is the story somewhat he has to tell. And so hopefully people do continue to give it a chance and it does get better. And I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but maybe get it back to a little bit better status than it was when Zeb Wells was writing it.
I
I'm
agree.
I'm hoping for the best because, like we said, issue 1 was like not horrible, but it didn't blow my mind either. So it's like that's why couldn't put it in my most anticipated because I'm like it was fine enough. It wasn't like the last volume at least.
I mean, for me, it's better than what we've been getting for quite a while, and
Yes.
I actually enjoyed it. So yeah, that's why it's on mine. But I totally understand where you're coming from with that. So, and the last book we have to talk about is The Last Boy #2. I did not read the first issue. I saw you talking about this on Social Cast, so I'm guessing you really
I
like.
think you'll like it. I feel like Peter Pan has been retold so many times. Like, how do you
Yeah.
do it differently? And this one has an interesting twist where it's the idea that Peter Pan obviously doesn't want to grow up, but the things around him are growing up. So, like,
Yeah,
Captain
right.
Hook's like, I'm kind of done. Like, who gives a shit? And then Peter Pan's like, well, I do. We got to fight. And then he like accidentally kills Captain Hook. And you're like, oh, that's an interesting way to like tell that story. And then Wendy, she's like in this arranged marriage situation, but she just wants to be a novelist and she's trying to become a novelist and to get her work out there. So how you can kind of live in escapism and have this childlike wonder, but as an adult, I thought was very interesting. So it was just a
That's cool.
different way to do Peter Pan. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what issue 2 will bring.
Kind of
Yeah.
like the opposite of the Robin Williams Hook movie.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's cool. Okay.
I think you'll
Yeah.
like it, honestly, knowing what
Yeah.
type of stories you like. I think you would like
Right.
it.
Yeah.
The
for
Wendy
sure.
character for me was like the best character in that
Mhm.
book. I enjoyed her story. Probably the best. I even liked her story better than Pan's. So
Mhm.
that's kind of cool.
Nice.
It's a cool book.
Awesome. All right. And that's all our most anticipated this week.
And that's it. All right. So that means that we're wrapping up the show. We appreciate you guys watching. We're a few minutes away from New Comic Book Day. Like I said, this
Going
past
to the
week,
store now.
this week was kind of like a low key week. Not much that really like was next level. You know, there's a couple of good books, but there wasn't a ton. My list is a little bit bigger tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens next week. So, so yeah, that's all we have. So it's great to have everybody on tonight, which was nice. Again, guys, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to Comic Book Weekly's YouTube channel, go ahead and do that, where you can watch all our episodes in case you guys missed an episode. And if you haven't, also subscribe to Cat Comic Uno's YouTube channel. Subscribe to Brant's at Only Good Comics YouTube channel. And then, of course, if you haven't, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Comic Book Corner 2.0. And remember, give it a thumbs up, hit the bell for notifications and all that stuff. So on your way out, guys, give this show a like, and we will see you all next week. Good night, guys.